Now, more than 100 transgender men have entered the Miss Italy pageant in protest after that pageant banned anyone not born female from competing. Are you following along here? Now, this does come after the Miss Netherlands contest crowned its first ever male-born winner, trans woman now, with Miss Italy organisers saying they would not, quote, jump on the glittery bandwagon of trans activism. Now, on hearing those comments, Italian trans man Federico Barbarossa sparked a viral online campaign by entering the Italy competition himself under what's called his dead name, which is the female name who's given at birth, Frederica. So let's speak to Federico now, joining us live from Italy. Thank you very much for making time for us. And just talk to us a little bit about what motivated you to do this?
So, obviously I heard about the, what the organizer said about that, first that only people assigned female at birth could take part in the contest. And then obviously I also heard that she made that statement with the purpose of excluding trans women, in a very explicit way. And so in that sense, I thought that's so dumb because, I'm assigned female at birth, but they wouldn't, dismiss my application because I'm short. They would dismiss my application because I'm a man.
Yeah.
And so in that sense, I thought I'd start this protest because, just to show how dumb this sort of like thinking is, because, like I said, they wouldn't have dismissed me because I'm short. They would have dismissed me because I'm a man. And so therefore, but then, a trans woman is not a woman. So how does that work really,
So you did it knowing you were being cheeky, you were being playful, but you were also trying to make a point here that you disliked the way that trans issues were being sort of brought up and that restrictions were being put in place in pageants.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, it's just, I think it's just out of date and out of time. This contest was born during fascism, and then it was kind of rebranded afterwards in 1946. And obviously the rules might have changed a little bit, but obviously there was a clear statement made this specific time. And, I don't particularly agree with the values of pageants, etc. personally, but then I think, if they do exist in this world, then they should be open to all women, if they are meant for women,
Oh, that's interesting, because I want to know whether you feel like you, by doing this and by galvanizing 100 other trans men to also do what you're doing, do you feel you've taken away from the female contestants in the pageant?
No, I don't think so, because, my purpose was never to take up a space that was not my space. I never meant to actually take part in the contest. I was just, I just meant to show a loophole in the system. And the point is also, so many other pageants, like we saw the Netherlands is open to trans women. So if not women are participating, is it even a fair competition? That's what I'm asking.
Well, I think you certainly made your point. Let's bring in somebody else who competes in these pageants. She's been listening in, former Love Island star and pageant queen, Sharon Gafka. Thank you for making time. You were listening to Federico just then. Sharon, what do you make of all this?
I actually disagree with the decision made by the Miss Italy organisation. I think that there are lots of traditional beauty pageants out there that don't allow trans women. Miss Universe is one of those that do. And I think if the Miss Italy organiser doesn't agree with trans women competing in beauty pageants, she should be the national director of a competition that disallows trans women. I personally, having competed at Miss Universe Great Britain 4 weeks ago, welcome trans women. We had our first trans woman contestant at Miss Universe Great Britain. The international competition allows it. The Miss Universe organisation is owned by a trans woman. So if she's happy to work for a trans woman, then why isn't she happy to allow trans women to compete?
That's fascinating about the ownership. Look, I want to ask you then, seeing as you are supportive of trans women taking part in conventional beauty pageants, what did you make of the furor then, the kind of reaction to the Miss Netherlands winner the other week, which was a trans woman that was crowned rather?
So I haven't seen any of the backlash from Miss Netherlands directly. So I did make a comment basically explaining what I just said to you guys about the Miss Italy organisation taking on the directorship of another pageant. And the backlash and the trolling and the nasty messages I got were not from other beauty pageant contestants. We're not from other women. We're actually from cisgendered men, telling me that by allowing trans women in my space, I'm wrong when it's my space and my decision to allow trans women or not, and I do. So why is it men are telling me that I shouldn't allow that?
Yeah, it's really interesting. Look, in terms of the beauty pageant concept itself, we just heard from Federico about what he thinks about it. When you think about it, do you think that, if we're to compare this to the current debate and argument that's being had about transgender people competing in sports, particularly trans women competing in athletic competitions, do you think there's a clear line here when it's different? Because beauty is in the eye of the beholder. A trans woman and a non-trans woman, do you think they can be judged the same in the same contest?
I personally, I don't feel like I'm well qualified enough to talk about trans women in sport and whether they have a physical advantage or not, but there is no advantage in beauty pageants. You have the same access to everything, and majority of Miss Universe national competitions are not based on your physical appearance. For example, Miss Universe Great Britain is majority interview, and being a trans woman does not mean that you're a better speaker or a better person because you're a trans woman. And a cis woman also does not make you a better candidate. It is literally down to the women that present themselves on the day.
Sharon, really clearly put. And Federico, just before we wrap up this part of the conversation, I want to give you an opportunity to respond to what you've heard Sharon just say. Do you feel supported?
Yeah, I definitely do feel supported. And it's great to hear someone that does pageant, saying this. And it was really interesting to say as well that many comments came from transgender men, which makes me immediately think if this whole, thing about trans women is about, it just makes me think, it's all about patriarchy and patriarchal values being held still here whilst the world moves forward, and clearly someone likes to be stuck in the past. So maybe they'll join us from the Middle Age on a horse one day, but that's clearly not happening right now. But I hope I can be a little part of this, and I hope I did something nice for my trans sister, without which I would be nowhere today.
Federico, Sharon, you've both been very generous with your insights and your thoughts this evening from right at the heart of the pageant industry. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Well, we don't have a cisgendered man for once to comment on this,
Yes.
Esther, but we do have you, Esther Krakue, the voice of your own opinion.
Well,
listening to all of that.
Why can't trans women have their own beauty pageants? Why? This is the thing. This is what most people, I think, take issue with. It's when there's a sense of entitlement, like we have the right. I don't really care about beauty pageants, generally speaking. I don't know many people that do. Obviously, there is, the point that the lady made that, your gender doesn't play a part of it. Well, many beauty pageants have swimsuit parts of the competition as well, and there is a physical element there. I don't really want to get into the logistics of that, but to say that your biology plays no role, come on, that's just disingenuous. Look, I don't see why, and I've advocated this from the beginning for sports and with shelters and anything to do with trans individuals. Why can't they have their own spaces? Is it the fact that being validated in a space that is clearly and exclusively for biological women is the issue, which then raises many questions? That's my only problem with it. Why can't you just have your own beauty pageant?
Well, I think that raises a key point that maybe Sharon and Federico brought up. It's that validation, as you put.
But the thing is, but then that's where people take issue, because you can't force someone to validate your identity. You can't force someone to believe something that they don't want to believe. For the many people on this planet, a trans woman will never be a woman, period. And if we're talking about tolerance and respect, why doesn't the respect go the other way? Why do we now have to pretend, if people don't believe that a trans woman is a woman, and therefore seeing what is a biological man in a dress at a beauty pageant, are we just supposed to, it's like the emperor has no clothes moment. Are we just supposed to pretend? How is that being respectful to people's opinions?
It's good to have you here to present the other side of the debate at a lack of a cisgendered man.
Well,
I know even that term riles
people
some
up, yeah.
men up these days. But it has been a fascinating debate, and stay with us, Esther. We'll come back to you as well.